Oh, hey there everybody! ThatPsySquatch here. Today, we're here with another fabric tutorial, and this time, we're going to create a custom block. So let's get into it.
What?
So here we are back in our IDE, and this time with the cursor, you are welcome. But what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be building off of what we did last time. So if you were following along last time, we're just going to be picking up right where we left off. If you didn't follow along, don't worry. I'm going to have the info and the GitHub repository. I'm going to have that down in the description, so you're free to grab that and follow along from there. But just as a quick general recap from last time, we created our Ruby mod class, and we created our mod items class. Now, as a basic rundown for this, we have our Ruby mod class, which has a constant final or a constant string that we've named our unique mod identifier, which we've termed mod ID. And this is our Ruby mod package. Next up, we created a logger tool for basically displaying log information and like outputting info into the output. And so we have the ability to do that with this tool. And then we have our primary function right here, which is just on initialize, which right now this is actually calling the mod items register mod items, which when we go to the mod items class is this function right here. And then as you can see below it, we're actually calling the logger tool, which we created in the Ruby mod tab right here, right here. We're calling that to return the info for registering mod items for our unique mod. And then we're also adding it to the creative menu under the ingredients tab. For up here, we have one other helper function for registering our items. And so this is returning the Minecraft registry or register. And it's returning an item as well as the identifier of our unique mod ID and the name of the item and the item itself. And then this right here is just where we are registering our item as Ruby, or we are defining our item as Ruby, and then we're registering that item as Ruby. And this basically just means that we're using default settings for the item. Now, with all that, we actually made things super easy for us on adding additional items. For example, if we wanted to make, say, another item, we would just do public static final item, let's say raw Ruby. We would do register item name. We would call it raw Ruby. And same thing, we would do new item and new item settings if we wanted to use just default settings for the item. And then we would also have to add it down here to the entries. Raw Ruby and raw Ruby. And that's basically all you have to do for adding a second item. Aside from, obviously, you need to go into your resources and you need to add a texture and then the model info as well as the language info. But anyways, today we're not doing items. We are going to do blocks. So let me get rid of what we added right here. Now let's go ahead and set up our class for creating a custom block. So first thing that we're going to need to do, under our package here, we have ThatPsySquatch and then our Ruby mod package. We are going to want to right click and create a new package. And this we are going to call block. It needs to be all lowercase, BLOCK. We'll hit enter. And then here inside that package, we'll right click. We're going to create a new Java class and we're going to call this mod blocks. And we'll hit enter. Yep, sure. So here in our mod blocks class, first we're going to start off with implementing our function for registering our mod blocks. This is going to be our primary function. This is going to be a public static void. We're going to call it register mod blocks. and a curly bracket there at the end. And then in here, we're going to call our logger info tool that we created in our RubyMod class right here. So for that, it's going to be rubymod.logger.info. And then here we are going to doing registering mod blocks for an extra space to keep it nice and clean. And this is going to be RubyMod and our unique identifier. Now next we need to call this class, or we need to be able to call this class on initialize when we boot up the mod. So to do that, we'll go back to our RubyMod class. And then here underneath our mod items, register mod items, we're just going to hit a space and we're going to do mod blocks dot register mod blocks. And there we go. And now when we start up on initialization, we'll call our mod items and then we'll call our mod blocks. Now, next, let's go ahead and go back to our mod blocks class. All right, excellent. Next up, we want to create a couple helper functions, helper methods. First is going to be a private static void. This we are going to call register block item. And this is going to be the function that we are going to call. So this is going to be for registering the item that the player holds or that is in the inventory menu, I believe. So registering block item, we want to return, or we want a string name and block. Let's go ahead and create our class. Now, if we hover over this block, we should be able to import the class. And we are going to want, it should be this guy, net Minecraft block. Yes. All right. And then here within this function, we are going to want, let's see, we want to return, what helper method am I working on? The block item. Okay. So this we want to call Minecraft's registry.register system. So right there at the top, the registry, we want to make sure we get the net Minecraft, not the Java. So this one, registry.register. And then inside here, we want to call registries dot, this is for the item. So dot item, comma, this is going to be an identifier of RubyMod dot mod ID. And then we want comma space name. Now outside of the parentheses, we'll add one more comma. And then here, enter for good measure. This is going to be a new block item. And then inside the parentheses, this is going to be a block with new item settings. So basically like default settings. Then add a semicolon there at the end. Excellent. Now we want to make another helper method for the for registering the block, not the block item. So this is going to be a private static block. And then we're going to call this register block. And then we want it to take a string name and block. And curly brackets. And then inside this function, we are going to want to do register block item. Yep, that one from the one that we created below. And this is going to do a name and a block and a semicolon. And then we want to return Minecraft's registry. So registry.register. Oops. Registries. This is going to be block instead of item. And this is going to have an identifier of our RubyMod class dot mod ID. We want a name and block. We'll add a semicolon there. Excellent. Now, last up, we want to actually just register our new block item. So this is going to be a public static final constant that we're going to create right now. And this is going to be a block. Yeah. We're going to call this lucky block. And then this, we want this to equal our register block function. So we're going to do equal register block. And then this, we want the name to be lucky block. That's what we're registering the name as. And then outside the quotes, this is going to be a new block. Then we want to call the Minecraft abstract block. So we'll call abstract block dot settings dot create. And so now instead of copying like vanilla Minecraft, we're actually going to create our own settings for this block. So for that, strength, and for this, we'll give it a value of 4. And then outside the parentheses, let me do a new, oh, what's happening? Here, I'll just do this. So we want it to require tool. And now, there we go. That's cleaner. Require tool, we'll just have it as just the default. And then sounds, we'll do block sound group. And then let's actually do, you know what? Amethyst sounds great for a lucky block. So we'll do a block sound group, amethyst block. I am missing one additional quote there, or parentheses, and then ending semicolon. All right, and that's it for our mod blocks class. Oh, nope. Actually, I am wrong. There is one more thing that we can do, and that is adding the item to the inventory menu. So we'll go here underneath our register mod blocks. Hit space a couple times. This is going to be an item group events. Dot modify entries event. This is going to be item groups. Dot building blocks. So that's going to be the area of the creative or the inventory menu that the items will appear under. And then we want to do register. And then we need to get a list of entries. So if we do entries here, curly quotes, curly brackets, and then entries dot add mod blocks dot lucky block and semicolon, close that off. And there we go. Okay, so that's our mod block class. Okay, so we have our mod block class created, and we have it also being called on initialize in our Ruby mod class. So that is everything for the item to basically exist, except for right now it doesn't have a name, or it has just a basic debug name for the lucky underscore block, dot mod ID, like dot ruby mod dot mod ID, whatever the format is. So for that, we're going to want to set up the language, the localization, as well as the model and the texture. So for that, we're going to have to go here to our resources. And we need to do some of our really fun adding new directories, which is going to be very, very important that we add them correctly. The first thing that we need to do, we'll go under here, resources, assets, Ruby mod, and then we are going to create a new directory. This is going to be called block states. Very important. It's all lowercase and it's states ES. We'll hit enter right there. And then while we're at it, I guess I'll just add the other things that we're also going to need. So we have our models directory. Here inside models, we need to right click new directory. And this is going to be block. And then under textures, we'll right click new directory. And this will also be block. And I think those are the 3 that we need for blocks. And then we'll obviously have to update our English US JSON file. But for here, we'll go to our block states directory, right click new file. And this is going to be called lucky underscore block dot JSON. And then here, what we are going to do is, I'll do a couple things here. So first, we want variance. I could type, and then a curly bracket. This is just going to be an empty string. And then here, we want model. And then this is going to be our package. So we are going to want Ruby mod block for that directory, and then lucky underscore block. Excellent. Now we want to create the JSON file for our model. So under the model block directory, right click, new file. And this is also going to be called lucky underscore block.json. And then in this JSON file, we want to parent it to Minecraft block cube all. And then for textures, we want all the textures to be Ruby mod block lucky block. And lastly, under our lang directory, we have our English US JSON file. And for here, we're just going to separate these. This is going to be block.rubymod lucky block, I believe is what we named it within the file. And then colon, what we actually want it to appear as, which is going to be lucky block. And now that we have the block state JSON, as well as the block model JSON file, as well as the localization, we have an item in the game. It has a texture. It has a name, except for, oh no, I'm sorry. It doesn't have a texture. We need to add a texture right here underneath our texture block directory. So let me go ahead and grab and drag this in. Lucky block. Yes. Okay. We'll add that right there. But now lastly, we need to add a JSON file for the item. Because right now, if you were to look in the inventory or hold the item, there wouldn't be anything. So for here under models item, we're going to right click new file. And this is going to be lucky underscore block.json. We'll hit enter and add. And then inside this JSON, it's going to be super easy. We're just going to parent it to our Ruby mod block directory and lucky underscore block. All right, gang. And that's it. We should have everything that we need. We should have the item registered. We should have it initialized. We should have it added to the building blocks tab in the inventory menu. We should have a localized name as lucky block. We should have a texture. We should have a model for the cube all. And then we should have just a default block state. So for now, let me go ahead and hit save all. We should be able to load into the clients. So let's go ahead and hit play. All right, and here we are. Let's go ahead and full screen. We'll hit single player. We'll jump into our new world. And we still have our items from last time, as well as a really bad field of view. Let me go ahead and change that really fast. Okay, I'll pick you up. And then here, if we jump into our inventory, we're under the building block tab. Scroll all the way down, we see our brand new lucky block. We also see the textures in our inventory hotbar. We see the textures in the world. And then if I add these down, they make amethyst sounds, which is pretty cool. Even when we're walking around on them. You know, guys, I didn't do very good with this texture. But you know what? It's not the worst. It's not too bad. Well, friends, and with that, I'm going to bid you adieu. I had an absolute blast hanging out with everyone today. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next episode. Laters!